Twisted, Chapter 1. Jeff knew immediately that it was the wrong console, not the one he wanted. Grandma shuffled it over, precariously toppling on the front beam of her walker. Creaky floorboards threw up clouds of dust mites, which swirled through the slanting golden light, effusing through the curtains. Jeff dared not say a word, neither to express his impatience with the glacial pace by which the tennis balls at the front of her walker bunched up a worn, tattered rug, nor to criticize her heartfelt, but clueless choice of birthday gift. After Dad's disappearance, Jeff found himself clinging to his doddering but warm-hearted family matriarch as the desperate but logical choice. She was all he had left, and he was hers. So, Jeff bit his lip and steeled himself. As she hobbled over, Goofy grinned, the televangelist's ardent warning about the impending rapture. Mr. Rogers' Praberhood, the nation's most popular apocalyptic entertainment hour, grew to a volume that the tinny TV's speakers could barely manage. Ignoring the TV preacher's existential warnings, Jeff took a few moments to size up his grandma and decided that, despite the crushing losses, Evelyn Abigail Falkus had weathered them about as well as could be expected. True, she stooped slightly lower, winced with her left steps, but her favorite blue and orange paisley dress still shone in all its hideous glory, though her signature smile had lost little of its clarity. Jeff could sense the emotional importance that this moment held for her, and determined to match her grin. He couldn't let his disappointment show. The moment arrived. Grandma beamed proudly as she tipped the wrapped box toward him, forcing Jeff to have to lean slightly forward from the couch to catch it. She shook out a nod and hobbled back to her favorite chair as Jeff held his premeditated disappointment in suspense for a few moments longer. Everything about the box's heft confirmed his diagnosis. The genuine speculum virtual reality headset he wanted would weigh at least twice as much. He smiled his best.
Happy 26th birthday. Well, you gonna open it, dear?
Sure, Grandma.
Jeff almost noticed how lovingly she had wrapped the package, aligning every detail of the balloon and party hat paper across its folded seams and the exquisitely hand-tied bow in one corner, before tearing it open in a sullen huff. He saw then that he'd been right. Instead of the genuine next-gen speculum virtual reality headset that seemingly everyone who'd come into the gaming store for the past 2 months had asked about, here he held, boxed in cheap cardboard, the latest dregs of a Who Really Cares Chinese knockoff factory console. The Spectre. It was an 8-bit Nintendo in lieu of a PlayStation. Jeff looked up at his grandma's hopeful grin and realized, with a sinking stone in his gut, that he had to keep going.
Ah, a Spectre. Thanks, Grandma.
You don't like it.
I haven't even said anything.
You don't like it. You're not grateful for it. If your father was here...
Grandma, you know that Dad's death has hit all of us hard.
There you start with that again. I tell you, he's not dead. You know they never found his body.
Grandma.
Anyway, you know how much I love both you and your father.
She leaned forward to peer a knowing look over her pencil-thick glasses, betrayed by tears forming in her eyes.
And one day my love will transform you into the good and grateful son that he always was to me. And Jerry himself will come back to live here with us as a perfect example. I know it. Lord willing, or the rapture take me.
Jeff took a long breath. There's no fighting this.
I'll play with it, Grandma, so you can see how much I enjoy it, okay?
He reached down to open the box.
Well, out with it.
What do you want to hear?
Tell me that your poor old grandma didn't get the headset you wanted for your birthday. I already saw it on your face.
The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked away a few seconds in awkward silence.
Grandma.
You know how hard it's been with only social insecurity to get by. I can't keep up this house properly or get you nice things for your birthday. You only turned 26 once, I know that too well.
A tear welled up in the corner of her eye. The stone in Jeff's stomach twisted. He dropped his eyes and returned his attention to opening the headset's cardboard box. Why is it glued so tight? He pulled one corner loose.
Please don't avoid this subject, Jeffrey. You know that I need more help with bills. You've got to ask the gaming store for more hours, hun. Or how else will you ever find yourself a girlfriend?
Jeff fumbled the box to the hardwood floor.
Grandma, please.
She leaned forward, adjusting the glasses on her nose.
I know what folks think, but your grandma isn't as clueless as she seems. I know what you really wanted. Everyone in town is either talking about that damn rapture or those damn glasses. But how can I provide for you if you don't do more to help with the bills? If your father were here right now.
Jeff had been reaching down for the Spectre box, but now he stood, kicking it, skittering across the bunched, dusty rug to rest underneath the TV stand in the corner.
Enough, Grandma. Can't I have a day? Just one day? I miss Dad too, I told you.
He strode angrily to the painted plywood door to his bedroom. She regarded him sternly from her perch.
Are you going in there to clean? I told you to clean that sty of yours a week ago.
Jeff didn't answer, for fear that she'd hear his voice crack. It was all getting to be too much. He needed to escape again. Crossing the living room, he angrily opened the door to his room and, ignoring the smell, went in. Tiptoeing around dirty shirts and empty beer cans, he whisked his wallet and a ring of keys from his cluttered dresser and left.
You're not going to clean your room? You actually choose to live like this?
Jeff made it to the front door.
You're leaving? Where are you going?
Hand on the knob, he turned.
It's just all a bit much for my birthday, Grandma.
She stood silent as he twisted the knob, stepped, hesitated. I should say it. I love you.
Talk to you later.
Then he was free, shutting the door on her protestations. She would probably try to chase, he knew. But by the time she hobbled to the garage and got the car going, he could be well beyond her view. Jeff breathed the early fall air, with a slight hint of moist coolness, and reached his arms to heaven in a luxuriant stretch as he made his way down Strawberry Hill. Feeling the late morning sun on his face, he actually felt happy for a moment. Charitable thoughts returned to his mind. She really is doing a lot to support me. Maybe she's right. I could be more grateful. His feet knew the way to his destination. At his age, he still hadn't learned to drive, as if Grandma Evelyn needed anything else to criticize. Fortunately, another world gaming haven, the rundown indie shop where he worked part-time and found his escape, was just a few blocks west on State Avenue. Grandma would look for him there, of course, but as long as she didn't know about the back entrance and the secret gaming rig stashed in the store's basement, he could move with impunity. He took side streets through dingy, painted-over neighborhoods and finally turned to the alley behind the store. Weaving between stacked pallets, contractor bags full of garbage, and the odd puddle of, hopefully, water, he found himself thinking of Dad. His unconscious memories carried him back to another birthday, 20 years earlier, which also happened to be the last time he'd ever seen his dad. That bright September day, already fuzzy with nostalgia of many-colored balloons and a cake with space rocket icing, and his father smiling down at him, haloed by the sun, remained etched in his memory. The other kids chased each other within the interlinked fences of the yard, and, for a time, for just a day, Jeff reigned their king. He remembered glancing up from mud pies and mini monster trucks to see Dad laugh, and then Jeff stopped, all of his senses snapping instantly to a presence. There's something here. He looked sharply about. The same back alley he'd seen 100 times, squished between two-story walls of smog-smeared brick, stared back at him. Then he felt a prickle at the back of his neck and turned. The stranger stood silent and motionless, inscrutable underneath a dark, hooded leather cloak, which covered his body down to the tops of his boots. He certainly seemed a man, though his visage defied any recognition, shrouded in layers of shadow beneath a drooping hood. Even his hands remained tucked within his cloak, so that Jeff could discern no more than his dark outline. How did he get there? Jeff had just come that way, and could see no side passage by which this strange figure could have creeped up on him. He seemed to have materialized out of the air.
Isn't it a little bit warm for a jacket like that, dude? I mean, you must be sweating in there.
Caught off guard, he could think of little else to say. Then the stranger spoke.
We know what you've been seeking.
Afterward, Jeff could scarcely remember the substance of what was said. So overwhelmed was he by the voice's lingering sound. It rasped, somehow, the deep insides of his ears, closer to the outer edges of his brain than he had ever felt any sensation before. And even after the stranger's utterances ended, the raspiness reverberated in his skull, like a spreading acoustic cancer that tore the seams of his thoughts before they could finish forming. Jeff staggered back. The stranger did not speak again, but instead pulled one black-gloved hand from his jacket pockets and reached deep into his tall, dark cloak. From within, he produced a box which seemed rather too large to have fit within its folds. Jeff knew it instantly. The stranger held the box in one gloved hand, extended out to Jeff in an obvious gesture of offering, and waited. A long time passed before Jeff stepped forward to take it. The mysterious stranger was right. This was not only a genuine Speculum VR headset, but its iconic model stamped on the box indicated it as the most expensive, top-of-the-line tech available. Not even his boss at the gaming store had managed to get his hands on one of these yet. Within easy reach, he stopped, still hesitating. The stranger might as well have been cast in bronze, for all that he moved. You know there's a catch. Jeff, willfully ignoring his own internal monologue, lifted his hand. You know there's a catch. As he took the box, it seemed for a desperate moment that some kind of energetic shock passed from the stranger's body to his, though Jeff had taken care not to brush his gloved hands. Then it passed, and he held his prize. Looking up a second later, he saw the stranger already moving silently away and down the alley. Thank you, dried in his throat. His Midwestern manners urged him to go after the figure, but some instinct froze him to the spot. He held the box as a sparrow chirped to the midday sun, and finally, the dark figure turned a corner out of sight. Jeff took a deep breath. It might have been his first in a long while.